Welcome to the August 29, 2018 Delhi Board of Trustees meeting. We'll open our meeting tonight as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Tonight's moment of silence, we recently celebrated the 90th birthday of George Robin. Unfortunately, tonight's moment of silence is in his memory. George was a friend to all and great ambassador of Delhi. He and his brother Ray founded Robin Brothers Greenhouses many years ago. George served in the Army, was one of the very few survivors of Pork Chop Hill in the Korean War. George is survived by his wife of 61 years, Carolyn, 5 children, Betty, Beverly, Diane, Kim, Ron, and their spouses, and 10 grandchildren. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Rest in peace, Birdman. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, approval of the minutes, Mr. Luby.
I'm going to switch seats. Apparently this microphone's not working. So let me see if this one's working.
I feel lonely.
Is that a party foul?
I'd like to make a motion welcoming Jim to the neighborhood.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. We have motion 2018-154, approval, the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting held on August 8th, 2018, and dispense with the reading.
I move motion 2018-154.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries.
Motion 2018-155, approved bills for payment.
I move motion 2018-155.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion 2018-156, approve the payment of overtime for pay period ending August 14th, 2018.
I move motion 2018-156.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, report from the fiscal officer, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2018-148, resolution approving purchase order obligations incurred on behalf of the Township by the Township Administrator, authorizing payment of certain purchase order obligations and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-149, resolution making supplemental appropriations for expenses and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
As far as our significant transactions since the last meeting, as far as cash receipts, on August 15th, we had a deposit of $485,000 for the second half real estate tax advance. Also on the 15th, we received an $84,000 real estate tax settlement. On 8/27, we received $19,000 for the permissive motor vehicle license tax. On 8/27, we received $37,000 for our local government fund, motor vehicle license tax, and gasoline tax. And on 8/27, we received $50,000 for our cable franchise fee. On 8/22, we did have a disbursement for $32,000 to the Hamilton County. It was for the police department for the in-car computers. On 8/28, we had $150,000 to Press Construction, part of the 2018 road contract. And on August the 9th, our payroll was $267,000. And on 8/23, our payroll was $266,000. And just a quick note on the resolution 2018-149, the adjustment for the appropriations was to increase the TIF expense, the payment to the schools, because we did receive more income than we anticipated.
Okay.
So we're going to have an increase in the expense as well.
All right. Thank you
That's
for
all we have.
disclosing that. I appreciate it. Okay, we move to trustees' correspondence. Trustee Seavey.
Yes, a couple of inquiries that came to me. The first is the enter and exit signs from the senior center. And Ron, you and I have talked about it, and Greg and Josh, so I think we'll address to which direction they face. Apparently, they're confusing. By the time you're already entered the wrong way, you're already in, so we'll be looking at how to correct that. The second thing is the move of the mailboxes in Delfair. This seems to have posed a lot of confusion and a lot of issues with how do you drive up to it, how do you exit the center after you've been to the mailboxes, and Mr. Cameron is going to address that with the U.S. Postal Office. So I'll have more coming on the mailbox location at Delfair. And finally, if you followed the news, it's been not only on the local news, but in the newspaper. All townships, which are considered the unincorporated areas of Hamilton County, are faced with a possible water hike. And what this means is that the differential number used to figure our water bill has been raised, or could be raised. And the townships are now facing a huge fight with the county as our partner in this, against the city's hike of the water fees. Mr. Cameron and I have been to 2 commissioners' meetings. I have had 1 meeting with Mayor Cranley, and today we were in court with Mayor Ruhlman to put a temporary restraining order on this movement, claiming that it was a contract. So just to let all of the Delhi residents know, we're down there doing what we can do and finding out what we can learn to try to stop or change or delay or have some sense of equality or justification for this hike. So, Mr. Cameron, you want to add to that?
Just for,
No. All right, Jack.
Before you were interrupted.
pardon the interruption. Okay, so this agreement that has provisions in it to have a task force formed with representatives from the county and different users like the townships and then Cincinnati folks, Greater Cincinnati Waterworks folks, to talk about and come to, I guess, a conclusion on what should go into figuring out that new multiplier. That task force broke down and really didn't complete their work. It seems, obviously from my biased perspective, that Cincinnati's just kind of put in a rate and they're going to assess a rate of 1.43. So the multiplier is going from 1.25 to 1.43. The municipal entities, cities and villages, apparently signed something to lock in 1.25 15 years ago. So they're at 1.25 and we're going to be at 1.43. So I think from the township perspective, it's everybody's shrugging their shoulders saying, okay, where does 1.43 come from? How is that justified? I think everybody would be okay saying we're okay paying our fair price, but tell us how you got to the fair price. So long story short, the townships, the county filed a temporary restraining order because these rates will go into effect September 1st. The expectation or the hope is that the judge will then freeze, I guess, the rates at 1.25 until the contract can be followed, I guess. I guess that's
Right,
the outfall
until it can be
potentially.
either amended or the task force can reconvene and have a thorough investigation and explanation of the rate hike. But I would say what we heard today was not much of an explanation for the rate hike. Not from the testimony today.
So they will continue tomorrow morning. We won't know anything. I guess he'll rule tomorrow, so hopefully he freezes it and we can still make a run at getting these rates where they need to be. So the point is we're looking at it and trying to follow it and be as supportive as we can for our residents and water customers that are going to pay this rate that doesn't seem to be based in what the rate needs to be. So it's hopefully we'll know something here tomorrow and that it's going to wait until
Right.
they can work it out more.
Well, and we're being led by the Hamilton County Township Association, but Anderson Township, Sycamore Township, Green Township, and Delhi Township are the strongest representatives there. So we are working for some sense of explanation or a better equality to the municipalities, and we'll let you know. Follow the news. That's all I have on it. That's all
Thank
we
you.
can do.
Thank you. Trustee Davis?
Thank you. I just have one quick thing. Some were wondering what all the film crew was doing up at Anderson Ferry and Delhi. I wish I could say it was some big, really cool movie, Hollywood. They were filming a lottery commercial, so that's what was happening there. So there was some buzz in the community what was happening, because I know there's different movies that are being filmed right now down in downtown, but not out in Delhi, at least at this point. So that's what that was for. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Also, I'd like to talk about the firefighters golf outing. Was a huge success on Friday. So thank you for everybody who came out and participated. There were 104 golfers, from what I understand. It was a gorgeous day, and it benefits kids, cops, and firefighters. So beautiful event. Also, September is National Preparedness Month. On our website, on Delhi's website, we do have Alert Hamilton County, a link to it. It talks about the Smart 911 that you can sign up for, and that is what I believe it was Ann Murray that was behind it, Judge Ann Murray. It's what possible, please? Councilwoman, excuse me, sorry. It's what could have saved that young man's life out at Summit Country Day. And so sign up for it. It's free. It will help first responders and your family. So sign your family up for it. But we do have the link there. It also gives you an opportunity, Alert agency, to sign up for 42 different weather alerts. Not that you need them, but if that's your thing, it's there. So, all right, very good. We'll move on now to administration. Mr. Libby.
Resolution 2018-150, resolution imposing regulations for the use of the recycling dumpsters at 647 Neeb Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, authorizing enforcement by civil citation fine per sections 504.05, 504.06, 504.07 of the Ohio Revised Code, prosecution by the Township Law Director or any appointed Assistant Law Director as provided herein, and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Cameron?
I do want to take a minute and reiterate what we're trying to do here. Months ago, the board put in place some simple rules, and what this resolution does is it solidifies them for us to prosecute should somebody break these rules. Right now, if somebody puts a washing machine or television or some other item that's not recycling and is clearly not recycling, the prosecutor's office will prosecute that as littering. So they will do that under the Ohio Revised Code. What we're doing here is establishing through our home rule abilities for us to prosecute these on our own. So the different rules we have in place that we now have a fine associated with and the ability to prosecute and go after people for these things, Delhi residents only. So these recycling dumpsters are for our residents. You can't be from somewhere else and put stuff in them. Recycling material only, we already talked about that. A couple other little things that people may not understand or think of. The lid needs to fully close when you're putting stuff in there so things don't blow around and it fits in the dumpster. Break down your boxes. So a lot of times people put in a big box and it just takes up too much space and doesn't need to. Have to get everything in the dumpster so things can't be left outside of the dumpster. And the hours are 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We've been educating folks on these things and these rules with our employees, some in our police personnel. I will say that it seems to have helped and is doing better. Things aren't as egregious as they had been, so thank you to everybody who's been paying attention. And now we will have the ability to go after and impose a fine if this is happening and it's something that we need to affect a change on. So that's what these rules do, and will let us enforce with a penalty moving forward.
All right, thank you.
Just a quick question. Is the signage down there, does it say it very clearly? Does it say the fines, what you would be charged with? I mean, so they can see when they're doing it instead of looking up after the fact saying, oh, I didn't know? I mean, is the signage nice? And if not, then I think we should, out of all fairness, post that so they're aware of what they're in violation of, up to whatever fine or whatever.
Well, because this would be the first establishment of fines, there's nothing talking of the fines or the penalty, but there's...
I mean, do we
There's
plan on that,
two-
is what I'm asking. Can we?
Yeah, I mean,
get
there's
that?
three large signs? Three large signs, each side of the dumpsters, and then one coming in. And each dumpster has the rules reiterated on them, like a sticker that's clearly visible. So we can, with these, we can now add fine is.
Good. What do you think, Jenny? Huh?
I'm thinking.
Yeah, all right. Just unpack it a little more.
All right. Any other questions for the board? Okay.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Okay.
At this time, we're going to have a presentation from our HR Director, Mrs. Hermes, on our self-insurance. The presentation will discuss our third-party administrator, stop-loss coverage, our broker of record, and projected cost to be compliant with the Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.833.
Okay, this is, should be a little bit familiar for people who were here last year. Delhi Township is self-funded, which means we have, are required by the ORC to discuss some of the options of our health insurance for our employees. ORC 9.833 is the ORC code that applies to us, and it's just we have to present a statement listing all representations made in connection with any possible saving and losses resulting from the medical self-insurance contract and potential liability of any public subdivisions or employee, the contract itself at public meeting at least 1 week prior to authorizing the signing of the contract. So at our next trustees meeting, we plan to have the contracts in front of you. The components of medical self-insurance, the first person is the employer, that's Delhi Township. Then there's also our broker. Then we have a third-party administrator. For those not familiar with self-insurance, that would be similar to Anthem or what you would consider the insurance to be. And then we also have medical reimbursement and a stop-loss carrier. More components, but it's the same overall theory on health insurance. Our insurance broker is Haran Associates, and the broker is the one that go out to obtain the bids. For the benefit plans, for all the other health insurance, dental insurance, they kind of take our best interest, and they're the ones that are evaluating it for us, and also across book of business. So this is what they do, and then he moved backwards.
Way to go.
So Haran is who our insurance broker is. The next component is our plan for our 2018 renewal. They've gone out to review our current plan and made a recommendation to stay with our current plan for 2018, which is administered through custom design, and to keep with our current plan design with a couple modifications, but not enough, not with custom design true cost benefit plan. So our current renewal, staying everything the same, would have been a 29.1% increase, the number to the far right. Our renewal, changing our stop-loss carrier to Symetra, is a 28.2% increase. So that will lead to an increase to what we're paying now, but across the book of business, from our claims, and if we are fully insured, that is still better than being fully insured. this is what our plan would look like for premiums. That is the premium equivalent. So that's the full price of our health insurance per month per member, depending on their plan design. The third-party administrator is Custom Design Benefits. This is an organization that processes the insurance claims and aspects of the employee benefit plan for the township, including producing benefit cards, customer service for the benefit plan, etc. They offer additional claim services to help reduce claims cost, including monthly, quarterly, and annual review of claims data, patient advocacy, the national leader in reference-based pricing. They handle our direct contracts with the local providers and integrated pharmacy management, and they have on-site clinical staff for claims and case management. Their offices are located in Green Township, so they're not too far away. The medical reimbursement, our plan design is called Custom Design Benefits True Cost. The basis behind this is they take Medicare and set a fixed amount. It's about 140% of Medicare, and that's what they basically pay on all our claims unless we have a direct contract. If we do have a direct contract, it's a contracted negotiated rate, so that's very similar to fully insured. The stop-loss carrier, with self-funded, you have a threshold, and our threshold is $50,000 per member, which means the township pays the first $50,000 per plan year on any member claim. Typically most people don't hit that number, but anything above $50,000, the stop-loss carrier reimburses. So the exposure for the township is the $50,000 amount. After that, it gets passed on to the stop-loss carrier. There are some other, there could be some differences, but the township knows about the exposure if there's an annual aggregate as well. So not just the $50,000, but there's also a bigger number that we cannot exceed, even if the members haven't reached that $50,000. That's just the setup of the stop-loss coverage. It's unlimited with the $50,000. It's a 24/12 look back and look forward, and it's both medical and prescription. That is a breakdown of some of our fees. The first column would be the monthly rates per individual. The enrollment is how many current members we have enrolled at for the plan, and then the right-hand column shows what that annual amount is. This chart shows the top part of the box shows what the expected claims looks like. The bottom shows what the maximum could be, because they do set a range about what's expected, but they also for you to get the true picture, but then they also do the maximum it could be if something were to happen. So our next steps are to have the resolutions at the September 12th meeting, and the resolutions related to the self-funded insurance plan would be our custom design benefits as the third-party administrator, which is the same as who we had this year, and another one would be with Symetra as the stop-loss carrier, and those are expected to be on next month's agenda.
So did I understand you to say that our rates have gone up 29%?
Yes. One of the things I do want to point out is last year I was doing the numbers. We only had 76 people enrolled, and now we have 77 people enrolled. Now we have 86. That doesn't break the per person difference down. They're using it. They are comparing it to apples. So they would do the rate as if the 86 were on the old plan and the 86 were on this plan. So just so you know that last year when we switched to custom design, we did increase the number of employees that have elected our insurance plan. And some of the feedback that I've gotten from employees is that they've had positive experiences, both with the plan, with our administrator, but they also commented that some people had been holding off on seeing a doctor, but now that things are covered that weren't covered, or they felt weren't covered, they're now going to the doctor. So I'm hoping this means that people are getting in front of things that they might not have been getting in front of before. So one of the things that we have done this year is we've also instituted a wellness program. So I'm hoping that some of the components of the wellness program too will help to mitigate some of the claims costs in the future.
I would add a few thoughts as we're talking about it. That we changed this last year, and it's a new plan structure than what it was. We did self-insurance. You did self-insurance in 2016, and then we changed the structure, and it's gone very well. It's custom design has done a very good job. We've had more people use it, and that's a good thing because it's a retention issue and an attraction issue, and that's something we fight all the time is keeping and attracting good employees. We do have some higher claims, and that wouldn't change. You know, if we were on a traditional plan, we'd be looking at a higher increase. So this is just sometimes you have a higher amount. We're hoping that the changes we're doing or the wellness activities, it's a long-term look at affecting the premium costs and the claims cost. One thing we're going to institute for this year is a different copay structure for Christ Hospital or the Christ Network because they tend to charge less than the other ones. So we're going to try and encourage people to go to Christ with their copays being less and just understanding that that's more beneficial for us paying claims. We looked at the stop-loss coverage, and we're switching to a different stop-loss carrier for, I won't go into the detail of it, but for reasons that we think make the plan stronger. So we're looking at anything we can. With self-insurance, you have ultimate flexibility on the components you can change, and Melanie and I have met with Haran and Custom Design the last few months to talk about, is there stuff we can do that would help or encourage or point at ways to make this cheaper, and we're pulling the trigger on anything that makes sense. So we're being as proactive as we can be, I think, but we'd be facing an increase regardless, and the plan's gone very well, and people appreciate that it's going well. So this is what we would suggest, even considering switching to self-insurance or doing something else with the plan.
I did ask our broker what we would be seeing if we were fully insured, and she said if we were fully insured, she would expect that amount to be much higher. She mentioned it would be, if we were fully insured, going to fully insured based on what we know about our claims history, she would expect about a 35% increase. Rough numbers, but if we were self-insured going to fully insured, it would be closer to 45%. So we're still doing the right things.
Okay. Thank you for all your work on that. I know it's not an easy task, and we do not like this time of year. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to Parks and Recreation.
Motion 2018-158, approve the hiring of Peggy J. Berninger as seasonal Parks and Recreation worker in the Parks and Recreation Department at a pay rate of $11.70 per hour, effective August 30th, 2018, upon the successful completion of the drug testing and background check.
I move motion 2018-158.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Josh. Okay, now on to fire.
Motion 2018-159, approve the hiring of Nicholas D. Morrow as career firefighter paramedic in the fire department at the rate per the collective bargaining agreement with the IAFF Local 3389 and successful completion of the physical exam.
I move motion 2018-159.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes. Another great job. Do you have something to say, Chief?
Yes, we're excited to bring Nick on. As you guys are aware, we lost a full-time firefighter to Anderson Township, so this is replacing his position. Nick's been with us for a little bit over a year. Been a fantastic paramedic, just fresh out of class, but really showing good signs. We're excited to bring him on to Delhi. I had two other things I wanted to bring up, if possible. To kind of follow suit with what Trustee Sturts had mentioned about the Alert HC, if you want to see a real gripping PSA, you can just follow before the meetings. There is a PSA that I did on the Alert HC program. It's only going to take 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes that you probably won't want back, but either way, I cover into detail what it does, so it kind of emphasizes that. And again, it's on the website. I encourage everybody to go out and get this free program. Secondly, I'd like to bring to light, in June, we launched a local partnership with the American Red Cross on a smoke detector program. Now, it's been a number of years since we've been involved with it. The State of Ohio Fire Chiefs Association really broke ties with the American Red Cross over the detectors that they were giving out, and they were scientifically proven to not be as effective as photoelectric. American Red Cross heeded our warnings and has since reissued the program with the photoelectric models, which has the support of the Ohio Fire Chiefs. Therefore, the program has been partnered with Delhi. What that means for all Delhi residents, you can call up to the firehouse, schedule an appointment. We will come out and install up to 3 detectors for any detectors that are over 10 years old or malfunctioning. We can replace those. The rule is we have to install it ourselves. It's part of our partnership program. You can't just come up to the firehouse, get a smoke detector, and go home with it. It doesn't work that way. So we need the supporting documentation on that. It is free. We do not have batteries. So one of the things we get called for the most is going to be a chirping alarm. We go out and investigate it. We do not have batteries. At this point in time, it's not cost effective to stock those. If we can find a good deal with Duracell or some other major manufacturer, we will likely go that direction. We've done that in the past. However, that's not part of our current program. So in light of that, if you have residents that go out and have fresh batteries and just need help reinstalling them, we'll do that as well. You can call us for that. But the program's really designed around reducing fire injuries and deaths by 25% over the next 5 years. It's something that hasn't passed by Delhi. We've had 2 fatalities in the last 6 months, 3 injuries in the last 6 months from fire. We just had one on Saturday, and although you don't want to go through a tragedy similar to this, they did have a working smoke detector, and it made it easy to, they had early detection, called us right away. We were able to stop it before it got big and out of control. So that's one of those things I want to remind residents is we're not immune to it here in Delhi, but definitely take advantage of this program. It's something that we offer to the whole community, and if there's more questions, they can call us at the firehouse.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Sounds like a great program. Okay, moving on to Public Works, please.
Motion 2018-160, approve the seasonal resignation of Brandon Marchetti in the Public Works Department, effective 8/15/2018.
I have a motion 2018-160.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
motion passes. All right, Police Department.
Resolution 2018-151, resolution authorizing the police chief to periodically execute a use authorization agreement with the Hamilton County for the use of its firing range and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Chief?
This is an annual contract that we sign with them and a $200 cost that we have to pay for the use of the range.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Motion 2018-161, approve the hiring of Tyler J. Steinley as police officer in the police department at the rate per the collective bargaining agreement with the Delhi Police Association upon successful completion of psychological testing and physical exam.
I move motion 2018-161.
Hang on 1 second. I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Motion passes.
Motion 2018-162, approve the hiring of Austin D. Lee as police recruit in the police department at a pay rate of $15 per hour upon the successful completion of background investigation psychological testing, and physical exam.
I move motion 2018-162.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Chief, can I just ask you to explain the difference between a police officer and a recruit?
Yeah, Police Officer Tyler, he's passed the background investigation already. He would have the psychological and the doctor's physical. And so we'll have a conditional offer tomorrow based on the passage of those two things. Once he passes those two things, we have an immediate impact. He can actually join the department. We'll go through a rigorous 12-week field training program and then be out on the street. The recruit, Austin Lee, I think probably the three of you know Austin, but Austin's a good kid. He's a graduate of Oak Hills High School. He graduated from Cincinnati Christian University. He was born and raised here in Delhi, just as Tyler was too. He was an explorer for us for 7 years, rose to the rank of captain. He's currently a 911 dispatcher, and in December he graduates with his master's in public administration. So for a young, I call him a kid, for a young kid, he's done a lot more than some of us will the rest of our lives. So he would come in as a recruit. He has not gone through the academy yet, the police academy. So we anticipated on putting him in October of this year. We come to find out, although they advertised the October academy as a full-time academy, it's actually a part-time academy. So he would start in October 8th, and wouldn't graduate until next May, being part-time. So going 5 hours a week and then having, or 5 hours a day and then having 3 hours a day as a recruit here, doing something here. It's in my best interest, our best interest, to actually send him to a full-time academy. That starts January 7th. Yeah, it starts later, but it actually graduates the same time as the part-time one that starts in October. So we're not losing anything by waiting and making him a full-time recruit January 7th when he starts with us with Delhi Township. He'll just be detailed to the academy until he graduates in May, and then we'll have him on the streets.
That's when he starts, is January 7th?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
But we're locking him in before somebody else gets him.
He's already slated to, he's gone through the whole process with the city of Cincinnati. He's slated to start there in April at their next academy. So we'll withdraw that to be with Delhi.
Okay.
So
I'll add a few things. It's not the normal practice to do a recruit versus, a straight hire, but Austin's been an explorer, was for 7 years.
7 years.
He's going to have a master's degree, which will be the second master's degree in the department to the chiefs. He is a dispatcher for Hamilton County, so he has a great knowledge of the dispatch area already, and he's a clerk for us, so he already knows. I mean, his field training will be limited, probably the shortest out of anybody we've hired. It's just kind of icing on the cake that he and Tyler are both Delhi born and raised folks. I mean, that's a nice benefit, but they're getting Austin locked in was a good thing.
I did fail to mention he's been a police clerk with us since 2015 also.
Okay. So he's very well-rounded. Okay. Two good hires. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Community development. This is always our favorite.
Resolution 2018-152, resolution renewing Brittany Ridge Subdivision Street Lighting District contract pursuant to revised code 515.081 and 9.30, confirming assessment pursuant to revised code 515.11 and revised code 515.08, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. DeLong?
Yeah, this resolution and the next resolution are both reassessments for two streetlight districts. This one is Brittany Ridge and the other one is Deller's Glen. We do these every 3 years. What we try to do is keep about a year's worth of money in the coffers in case we don't get assessments in. So both of these are looking at about a 5% increase, which is just really pennies on the dollar. People really won't see much on their bills, but so that is basically what we're doing. We're going through our routine. Next year we'll have 4 that we'll be bringing forward. We're looking at possibly trying to get all of them put on the same schedule, and also looking at possibly changing the lighting to LED in the future too. So hopefully trying to reduce the cost for the residents.
All right. Thank you.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-153, resolution renewing Deller's Glen Subdivision Street Lighting District contract pursuant to revised code 515.081 and 9.30, confirming assessment pursuant to revised code 515.11 and revised code 515.08, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-154, resolution extending the moratorium of Resolution 2018-028 for 1 year on the approval, issuance, and/or processing of any permits allowing the construction, installation, and/or modification to facilities pertaining to many cell towers within the rights-of-ways and/or residential areas of Delhi Township, Ohio, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. DeLong?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be our third moratorium placed on these types of uses. These are small cell towers that are placed in the right-of-way. Basically, they're a pole with a bucket on top of them. They're very unattractive. The township has been working with other townships in Hamilton County to try to get the county engineer's office to move forward with standard language for everyone to use. That unfortunately has not happened. Our last moratorium was for 6 months, and again, nothing happened at the county. So we're requesting a 1-year moratorium so we have time to do something that's best for our community and maybe, I don't want to say ignore what the county's got to say, but move forward with what we need to do to protect ourselves in the future for these things, because based on their use, they can place these things about 100 feet apart from each other, and they don't co-locate. So you could have every cell tower user from AT&T to Cricket to Verizon lining our streets with these types of poles. So, yeah.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-155, resolution certifying violation abatement expenses at 445 Leith Avenue to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. DeLong?
Yeah, I'm going to summarize this resolution through Resolution 159. Basically, what you see in front of you on the left-hand side is the before photos, and then on the right-hand side is the after photos. These are basically properties we have gone out and addressed the nuisance issues at. So if you have any questions as you go through them, just let me know.
Thank you.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-156, resolution certifying violation abatement expenses at 468 Wilkie Drive to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-157, resolution certifying violation abatement expenses at 3930 Delhi Pike to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
No. I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-158, resolution certifying a violation abatement expenses at 4343 Mount Alverna Road to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-159, resolution certifying violation abatement expenses at 5,000 Francis View Drive to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-160, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 579 Stillwater Drive and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. DeLong?
Since we have so many we have coming up, I'm going to summarize. There has been effort on many of these properties to try to clean them up, but they were all still in violation as of this morning. So we do request that you declare a nuisance from this resolution to the end of the agenda. So
11 more.
11 more.
I think that Delhi Pike has been on for about 5 years.
Yeah.
At least that, you think?
Oh, the previous one?
Yeah.
That one, we are actually submitted that to the land bank, and it's actually in their queue, so hopefully they will be acquiring it and demoing that. So,
Good.
All right.
I move to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-161, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 753 Lullaby Court and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-162, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 801 Anderson Ferry Road and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-163, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 990 Beach Meadow Lane and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-164, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 1028 Ebenezer Road and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-165, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5127 Mount Alverna Road and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-166, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 305 Anderson Ferry Road and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-167, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation and accumulated debris at 524 Mantola Avenue and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-168, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation and accumulated debris at 4476 Delhi Pike and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-169, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation and accumulated debris at 5344 Orange Lawn Drive and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-170, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation and accumulated debris at 5641 Victory Drive and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Amen. All right. I have nobody who's signed in for citizen comments tonight, but we do have announcements of community events.
The Free Friday Fishing is open through September 28th. It runs from 7 a.m. until dusk, and it's at Clearview Lake, 5125 Foley Road. The Delhi Farmers Market is open every other Saturday. The next date is September the 1st. It is open from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and is at Clearview Lake at 5125 Foley Road. The Delhi Historical Society program, Ohio River Navigation, yesterday and today, will be Monday, September the 10th at 7 p.m. Will be at the Delhi Park Lodge at 5125 Foley Road. The Delhi Township Veterans Association General Meeting will be Tuesday, September 11th from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. It will be at the Delhi Senior Community Center at 647 Neeb Road. The Delhi Township Parks and Recreation Department presents Speakeasy Spirits. It will be Friday, September 21st from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. It will be at the Delhi Park Lodge at 5125 Foley Road. The 5th annual Mount St. Joe 5K will be Friday, September 21st at 6:30 at Mount St. Joseph University at 5701 Delhi Avenue. The Delhi Branch Library hosts a free solar workshop Monday, September 24th from 7 to 8 p.m. It will be at the Branch Library at 5095 Foley Road. Mount St. Joe Community Electronic Recycling Day will be Saturday, September 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will be in Mount St. Joe West parking lot at 5701 Delhi Avenue.
Okay. Our next regular meeting is Wednesday, September 12th at 6 p.m., and we do have a need to go to executive session.
Motion 2018-163 to retire to executive session to consider the appointment, employment, and/or compensation of a public employee of the township, and also to consider the purchase of property for public purposes.
I move motion 2018-163 to retire to executive session to consider the appointment, employment, and/or compensation of a public employee of the township, and also to consider the purchase of property for public purposes.
I second the motion.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes. Everybody have a blessed and safe Labor Day. Be careful.